Professor nkulamusiza nnyo tukwaniriza ku mulengerannews.com webale kubeera naffe okutuwa akaseera okubaako bye twogerako olunaku lwaleero Professor. Kati Professor okusooka tumanyi nti owagira mwami Kyagulanyi Ssentamu ku bwa pulezidenti. Lwaki?
Nze mbajira abaana abato kubeera pulezidenti naye nga nto.
Naye ng'ogyeko otaddemu amaanyi.
Mutaddemu amaanyi.
Omukwano guva ku ki mukama wange?
Omanya ndi n'abaana abato n'abazzukulu baagala ennyimba ze bazaagala nnyo
mu nnyumba yo wane waka.
Ate n'omukyala we abeewaffe Western Uganda kale bwe yayimirira ku paalimenti n'awangula n'amuwandikira ebbaluwa
nga
ekikopi y'ebbaluwa eyo bagipablishinga mu Monitor nga mu Christian mugamba nti weebale nnyo omwana muto kusinga. Ate bwe baagwana mu paalimenti n'alaba nti alwanirira omuntu alwanirira abantu ba bulijjo nga mwagala nnyo.
Kati ogezezza ku
bwe n'alwala nga ntamanyi bulungi yaja wano MPs abalala kundaba kale n'alya nti oyo omuntu presidential candidate w'abantu.
Kati Professor olina bw'osobodde okwogerako nabo mu saakoozizo okulaba nga bamuwa akalulu?
Banja nga mbawagira n'abantu abakulu b'emyaka yange mbawagira nti twagala tukyusewo nze kindi tondeba nga saanira ye Kyagulanyi mbawulira.
Naye Professor olonda gwe mwennyini okuba akalulu? Olonda? Do you participate in elections?
Sinonda.
Ojja kulonda?
Nankani ebiguddeko ennajja kulonda. Naye luli tetwalonda baawano tebatuwa nankani empapula zakulonderako
mu 2006
tetwalonda ensi yange yonna neegaba tetwalonda kubanga electoral material zajjanga zikeeredde nnyo zajjanga saa 10 abantu nga bagenzeeka nekibifako naye tukubira wetwagala.
Naye Professor tofunye buzibuzibu mu banno obutakutegeera nga balaba owagira omuvubuka ng'oyo omupya?
Oba babulina nange nze sibulina nabo simanyi bamanyi waliwo abantu nankande UBC oba kyeyajja wano nekola interview naye bagamba nti beri nga ndi mulwadde Kyagulanyi yajja nandaba yankube nga atali America nti Kizza Besigye naye yankubira nasaasira naye teyajja yagenda kuziika abafu nti kale abaziika abafu naye bwe yajja kundaba mpagirani ababuuza ekibuuzo ekyo bona ne bagamba wagira oyo akumanyi ng'omuntu eyajja kukolaba nga oli mulwadde oyo Kyagulanyi.
Kati mu bulamu bwa Professor ng'ogyeko mwami Kyagulanyi wali owagiddeko munnabyabufuzi omulala? Wali owagiddeko munnabyabufuzi omulala mu bululu bwa wano ng'ogyeko mwami Kyagulanyi?
Nankani terms ezasooka nali nga mpagira Museveni naye kuba yakyusa nankani constitution nempagira Kizza Besigye n'okugamba abantu n'abagamba naye kati obululu buno bujja mpagira Kyagulanyi.
Era ojja mukubira akalulu bw'onaaba ofunye omukisa?
Ate bwe waayita omuntu somukubira kiro nakyo kibuuza.
Neyanzege Professor kati musembedde okwogeramu ne munywanyi wo Kyagulanyi?
Yakabwana emirundi ng'ebiri nga akyalidde.
Ekintu mu kulaba kwakikutta atya? Enkwata engeri gyakikuttemu ekya campaign kitambudde kitya gwe mukulu?
Akikutte bulungi
kikuwadde amaanyi
kubanga ali n'abantu bali naye bw'abantu nga babakusemba kiraga nti oli nabo.
Wandyagadde atereezeemu wa kolaba akabulaabulamu?
Ateekwa kwogera abantu bonna nti tulina atwesiga nandibadde nga ajja wano kundaba bamukuba ekifaananyi nga nje kundaba namugamba agendera bene mukwano gwange Matayo
Luchikaire Mafia
agende abantu bamanyi abakadi ali n'abawagiri mu bantu abakadi tabiriyo yoka
naye omukulu nagenda yagamba ennaku ezo nti tasaanye abulamu nnyo omukulu John nagenda yagamba nti mwami Kyagulanyi abulamu nnyo abulamu nnyo omutindo gwa pulezidenti
mbulira tajjukira gwe nankani nagenda nange nga tulunda obululu ba Museveni ne batuvuma abazungu n'abalala tetuwagira community
mukinana
mukinana nibaza nga tumaji abeere mukulu wa nankani movement nali muntu mukulu wa Uganda ebungereza nagenda gayona nga banvuma bagamba kuyagala ensi yammwe community batwale akalenzaako ka agitator kana katutte kamanyi bwage kati tufuze emyaka 35 kumpi ekyo tikibiro kubanga Museveni bwe yatuukamu n'abeera president yakugana nga banagenda ba kinyefuza ba muntu musisa na mama mbawe abo biri balinga babuye bavuga ujuke naleta ekirowoozo mu kabeti netusugana natwala ekyafi nebe yakitwala nti ngekya Museveni tabuka kweka kati ndowooza byonna byatuleetako asooka n'abyogera n'abantu be mutabani mukyala muganda we muto we n'abantu abalala abo batuvuga bwe tuteekamu Kyagulanyi abaje kuvuga Kabaka amwagala Katikkiro we Buganda mwagala naffe tumwagala ffe tugenda kuba nga tuvuga byabanga agamba bigamba mu mwanyagafu ebirowoozo byakozesa bisinga obungi byaffe kale mugamba nti singa Kyagulanyi awangula abo bamuwagira ngaawo abakadde bakanyihamba n'abalala bebafuka Museveni yalibadde nga talibu yali ng'akkiriza tamuzi 2 zokka yazibako kubanga abo abamulirako abo bamuwagira mali nga tebebyagala kyabonabibako kubanga gwoba olina abawagizi bweyesiga bakuwa amagezi abo begwijako kale batugambe bakanyihamba bakabaka bakatiikirwa babamusiiba tebalimu magezi kale talina magezi naye nsinga abantu abamumwagira abakola nabo ate nde balina abagambirizire bantu boogera birungi abanga alina tiimu atugambye nti ajja kufuzira abauganda bonna ffena abauganda bonna tujja kuba nga tumuwa amagezi tuli basiru
teyetaaga kumanya nnyo yetaaga kubeera well intentioned
wangi
he just needs to be well intentioned the rest can fall into place
absolutely he just will be that's what they call the flag bearer. But he's bearing a flag for others, not for himself.
For millions.
Millions.
So, Professor, when you look at General Museveni of 1980, the candidate you supported, in comparison to the Kyagulanyi of today.
By the way, 1980, I suppose the UPM. But at the time, we didn't have a leader. Museveni came later. Kabgejiri called me from UK. He knew me and I knew him. And he wanted me to support him as leader of UPM. But I refused.
Tassis didn't fear to step forward.
Who's a Kabgejiri? Timuviro bya UPM wali wagirana. Yali nga wagira wika.
He wanted
to ayogera nga kisa isundu kisabu kusimu ndagamba kanyamba you are opinion maker you are very brave we know you are honest
You can build the
supporting
country.
me for the presidency of UPN. Nengana.
Was Museveni in the picture at that time?
At that time, he was who?
Okay.
He was leading this unknown guerrilla record salvation. What?
Front for National Salvation.
Yes.
Yes.
Nobody knew about it. We knew he had gone for training in Mozambique, communist country, and he was on the fringe. Nobody knew him. When we met to map the future of Uganda in Moshi, Museveni was one of the small fringe groups there.
Did not lead a delegation. I thought he was leading a big delegation.
Militaries, those who supported the, what do you call it?
Flonasa.
Only that.
Okay.
Other people who later supported him, the Binjiras, the Kanyihambas, the Kaira,
You were the one who raised
we
the
were
profile.
in a different group, bigger than himself.
Oh.
He was. I wish you
He had
can.
no name recognition.
I wish you Uganda you could read. You don't have a reading title. In my book, I have written about this.
Yes.
Museveni was unknown.
Okay.
At least Chagulanyi is not. He was not even known as Chagulanyi is.
Chagulanyi is known internationally.
Yes. They
Couldn't
have put him on BBC. He's much more known than Museveni was at the time.
Professor, do such things mean anything? Being on BBC, CNN.
For people who believe in history,
Do they mean
like continuous, they should mean something.
Okay.
Ugandans. Now, hello, Michael. This thing of mine.
Could Tamale Mirundi?
Yes.
You know, he has,
Very
already
much
said,
so.
he has already said you made mistakes, that you had a lot of power, that General Museveni allowed you to do the right thing, and that you misread the mind of General Museveni.
So where did I miswrite?
Well, he, for
You
instance,
see, you can't just say that one. You must relate it to what
Yes.
is in the Constitution.
he, for instance, says that the term limits, that you should have made it an entrenched provision which you didn't do. How do you respond to that, Professor?
You people. Don't you read?
Because he says if you had, there is no Museveni would have lifted term limits. That maybe you had a lot of...
I always remind you, Jesus Christ, who is a God, in his wisdom,
Yeah.
asked Judas Iscariot to be his disciple. Did Jesus make a mistake? To make him his disciple?
Certainly no.
Why? Because he betrayed him.
He betrayed him.
So Museveni betrayed all of us. Let me tell you why we didn't double entrench. But what we even double entrenched, he removed.
What?
We double entrenched the fact that the president should only have 2 limits of 5 years each. I am the one who put it in.
Yes.
And we insisted it should be there. Museveni praised it. Why doesn't Tamale talk about Museveni who removed it? Term limit 5 years. We double trenched it. Nobody could ever remove it.
Okay.
We entrenched the Kabaka and the traditional ruler shall be governed by tradition. No law. They removed that. It was double trenched.
Professor, it was removed at what stage? During the CAO or after?
Pardon?
They removed it at what
They
stage?
removed it in 2005 when they amended the constitution. They also amended the constitution in 2002. They removed what we had already entrenched. I am saying to everybody, including you, unless we go back to the 1995 constitution, everything is gone forever. I have never accepted any amendment to the constitution. I've never been part of it. So Mirundi, you tell him to read, but to come and meet me, he's telling lies.
Professor, some people have suggested...
Should we have trenched? No. Should we have trenched that every human being should breathe? That breathing should be entrenched. Should we have entrenched it?
If you had known the person
No,
you
I
were
said,
dealing
should we
with,
have entrenched him?
he says you should have. That you
I am talking to you, not to him. You.
Yes, Professor.
Should we have entrenched that everybody breathes?
You don't have to. You didn't have to do
Why?
that. Because it's a given.
Because it is natural.
It's natural.
The idea that there should be time limits was accepted by everybody, including Museveni.
At that time.
Nobody. You legislate for something which is controversial.
It was.
We legislated for women 10 years. We legislated for a president should have term limit. But that he should have a term limit was unanimous. You don't entrench something which is unanimous.
So you never anticipated anybody ever thinking of
Nobody.
touching. It was unthinkable.
Not even Museveni, so it was unthinkable.
Do you think General Museveni was genuine at that time, or he knew what he intended to do 10 years later?
How can you go into man's mind? You know what I'm thinking now? You don't know. We didn't know, but we believed him. We believed that he would never change the constitution, which, you see, you people, let me tell you a problem. You don't have a reading diction.
Yes, Professor.
And you are not patient enough. If I tell you that when we finished making the 1995 constitution, Museveni stood up in front of everybody, including foreign dignitaries, including the former Prime Minister of Ethiopia, and they said, Ugandans have made the best constitution, and I will go into the bush once more if anybody should tamper with it. Why don't you dwell on that one? The Kanyamba made a good constitution, Museveni tampered with it, instead of listening to Tamale. Have challenged him to have a conversation like this one. He doesn't come. Those I sent where they hear him, they don't give him the message. He's a Museveni apologist. God made me a wholesome being. But now you have seen I'm in a wheelchair because I ate badly. I ate a lot of sugar. When
In your youth,
then can I blame God? How can Tamale, who I think is very reasonable, blame those who made the constitution, which Museveni changed? That's the advance. Tell me. Because you are younger people. Supposing we had entrenched, we said, it will never change forever. What do you think would have happened?
at least General Museveni would have retired by
Something
now.
would have changed it. He said Museveni shall never appoint anyone a judge without the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. Look at the Butera,
The deputy CJ?
Deputy CJ.
Yes.
He appointed him without the authority or recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. You are accepting him as Deputy Chief Justice.
Is that possible, Professor?
Eh?
Is that possible?
But it is, what is the problem with you, man? He is now the Deputy Chief Justice, whenever I'm saying without consultation or recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission, and you're accepting him. Why do you think this is not so?
You know both of them, so why do you think he's interested in
The
him?
Chief Justice was recommended, but I'm not the Deputy Chief Justice. That's what I'm telling you.
And I'm asking you, know both of them, Butera and General Museveni, why do you think he's interested in him being DCJ?
You are not a journalist, are you? Really, we should ask him that wasting time. Don't you know why?
I don't know.
Because he's supposed to mind questionable. If he says change the constitution, he changes it. If he says take him to jail, he sends him. That's why he's supposed to. Yeah, you don't know.
Professor, you know better.
No, I don't know better. I know everything. Uganda knows, even you know, but you don't want to say so. You are a coward.
Okay.
You want things to come from my mouth.
So, Professor, I'm sorry. I'm really fascinated by history. You played the
You are not interested in history. If you are, listen, please.
Can I?
If you are interested, you would know why Museveni appointed Butera without the authority of the Judicial Service Commission. You would know. You don't know history.
Can I learn history now from you who knows?
What are you learning now?
By asking the following question.
You ask another question.
Sir, you really played a very big role in the constitution.
But we have already said that. Why do you continue like a parrot repeating yourself?
I'm looking for
you said
history.
at the beginning, you ask questions without reference to
I'm
you play the big
looking-
role.
I'm
You play the
looking
big
for
role. You are not a
history.
parrot.
I'm looking for history, sir. I'm looking for history.
Those who look for history, they repeat themselves.
Yes, for clarity, for clarification, sir.
What is it that is not clarified for you?
Can I ask?
That I haven't played the big role?
Can I seek clarification?
No.
Sir?
The question you have asked, you have repeated again. You said you play the big role.
Because
you
I'm-
don't understand that?
Because I'm
No, excuse me.
clarification.
You don't understand that.
Because I'm
Please be
seeking for
intelligent.
Yes, I'm being
You are talking to a very
intelligent.
intelligent- No, you
but
are not.
seeking clarification,
Excuse
sir.
me, you go. If he's going to challenge me. An intelligent person doesn't ask questions several times. Repeat himself. You play the big role. You play the big role. You just say it at the beginning. And they internalize from the beginning. You know, I play the role. So why do you paraphrase your question? You play the big role.
For the
You
record,
play.
for the record, he says that bad.
Excuse me, I don't have time for the record.
Okay. Okay. So can we move forward, sir?
Move forward. That's what I'm trying to say.
Very good, Professor. You are indeed a professor. Let's move forward.
Was that in doubt?
It wasn't.
Then why do you have to hear us indeed?
Okay, so can Professor, I would like to ask you about the current situation. We are months into the campaigning period, and many Ugandans seem to be aggrieved with the way the process has gone so far. Are you surprised?
Are they?
People are
Are they
aggrieved.
agreed?
They are aggrieved.
Who agreed? That's what you
Yes.
said, agreed.
No,
Yeah,
aggrieved.
they agreed, yes.
Yes. Has anything specifically surprised you with this process so far?
No.
The campaigning process?
Nothing has surprised me. Since we oppose removal of term limit or age limit, I talked to Parliament about it. I wrote about it. I pleaded with the President not to remove them, and he did. And those who opposed, including Bitan Sari, Miriam Matembe, his great friend, Edia Kategaya, he sacked. So what shall I do? Anybody who opposes himself in Nigeria that has no right is his enemy. So why should I be supplying?
Okay, the performance of Chairperson Justice Byabakama as Chairman Electoral Commission, has he met your expectations in any way?
Tell me, what kind of people does Museveni appoint to office since they changed the constitution? What kind of people does he agree to appoint to bigger offices of government? Because I assume you are an intelligent journalist, so you should answer my question, otherwise I will not answer yours. What kind of people does he appoint?
People who might be loyal to him, loyalists.
Not at all. Can you ask me to be loyal to have my daughter raped? People are frightened of him. So that even when they know he's wrong, they will do his bidding. Those are the people he appoints.
So you didn't expect anything better from your fellow judge, Justice Byabakama Simon?
If I was Byabakama Justice, and I allow Museveni people to come and support him, the police keep aside, the army keep aside, they salute him. And the candidate Amliat comes, and the police beat him, those who are supporting. Support, refuse those who support Shabulen to go to the venue. When the shepherd, those who support Museveni to the venue, to sign immediately. All these commissioners should resign. Chief Justice proposed to me, as he did, to the chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, that justice in Nigeria is corrupt. and he steals files from the judiciary, and they give him a judge. I would resign and expose. If Justice Yabashij Andrew is corrupt, and all corrupt lawyers go for them to write their judgment, and he awards billions and billions of shillings, I was either the Chief Justice or I was the Chairman of the Judicial Service Commission. I would resign. Further, they are intimidated or they themselves benefit from corruption. You don't have to be a journalist to make that conclusion. Or to ask Kanyama in order to stop putting it in any other way.
Professor,
twice, when I was Minister of Justice Attorney General, I offered her to resign. And it is on record. Museveni persuaded me not to. One was when we had agreed that ministers, permanent secretary should never be arrested and jailed unless the Attorney General is satisfied that there was sufficient evidence. When I was in China pursuing better trade as Minister of Commerce, I came back and some politician had been arrested without my knowledge. I offered her to resign. Museveni publicly persuaded me
to stay.
In another case, Moses Ali is still alive. He was arrested, and Amala Tubo, somebody in my absence, I was Attorney General. When I offered my resignation, he refused. He released those people, and they paid compensation. That is what conscience and integrity means. I think the president said, "You were wrong." Yeah. So, Mr. President, yes, I was wrong. Even when you are knowing right, in order to stay in the office, you have no guts. The chairman of the Election Commission, the chairman of the Judicial Service, they don't have guts. They may be honest, but they are not principled. Museveni can't commit and they can't. And the people say, you see, he was there as president. And we know he's in the campaign. He wants people to vote for him. He will put the news. And say, yes, I accept your expression. Yes, being president can be rubbish. Sometimes these questions annoy me. Annoy me because they have been asked by people who are intelligent.
We apologize for that, sir.
Any other question?
Well, Professor, you've been a judge of the Supreme Court. You've been a justice of the Supreme Court before.
Yes.
And do you think if anybody challenged this election at the end of that day, do you think they stand a chance of having it overturned?
Did you write? First of all, what did I do in 2001?
You annulled.
I annulled the election.
Yeah.
Senior of us.
Yeah.
Sadly, both dead now. Justice Odeh and Justice Sekoko and I was a pillar of the movement, but I said no, this election was not free or fair. You know the story. I've written about it. Then, when I was away, they came up with the judgment. I think I was in India. Of age limit. Only one judge who thinks like me nullified that judge. Who was it?
Justice Kakulu.
If Kakulu had behaved cowardly, he would be the Chief Justice because he's very well qualified and he's from Angola. But he's hated by the movement and everybody because he said the 2016 election was not free or fair. He also nullified the presidential election alone. But let me tell you, the Court of Appeal went to Mbale led by the President Chief Justice. Tell me, why did they go to Mbale? Have you journalists ever found out why? No. To hide from you. Most of you would not afford to go to Mbale or afford hotels. So only a few could go there. And they sift them to make sure those who are for government went there to witness what was happening. They come up with their reasons and judgment. I made the judgment which you haven't read. I said there was not there. But having heard what the Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice said, Alphonse Doro, and the other judges, and the Kakulu, had I been in that court, I would have agreed with the Kakulu that the election was flawed. I rather the amendment was flawed, and we should retain AG Limit. That time, Doro was Deputy Chief Justice. He read the court in Mbale. If you read what he read, gave his reasons in Mbale and the others, they are at variance with their final decision. He said, how can we amend the Constitution when the ink is not dry? It's too early. Let us first test the Constitution, which includes age limit and term limit. But at the end, because he was persuaded by Museveni and others in fear, he dismisses the petition. Now let me ask you, what did he say recently? Now that he's Chief Justice, you don't have a reading direction. He said we made a mistake by removing term limits. Himself today. After he knows he's already Chief Justice, nobody will stop him. This book is a test. I'm going to see how many journalists or Ugandans read it. You have seen these people have taken my vehicle. They are putting 50 in Artswalk, 50 in Uganda Bookshop, 50 in Catholic Bookshop, the Daughters of St. Paul, and 50 in Mukono. Come in 1 week or two, and we see how many we sold. I took 10 copies of my book, The Blessings and the Joy of Uganda. If you see those who go to play God, they drink on average 50,000 per night, if not more. If you stand other drinks or you are wealthy, like Ivan calculated, go there after me, they can spend 2 million on drinks.
In one night?
My book was 50,000. Only about 3 copies were bought at the book club. These are my friends.
150.
Only. The others were not. But ask him to stand a drink of all his friends who have been golfing with, he can spend 100,000 per night. I have bemoaned on Uganda having no reading culture. You are one of them.
I will improve,
You
sir.
are taking a copy. Let me say when you bring the money, 50,000. But if he's got a wedding, you spend almost 1 million on drinks for guests. We don't have a reading culture in this country. Social media is doing much better because people can listen to the radio and so on. How many books have I written?
More than 30.
You had it from me. You didn't find out yourself. Museveni praises me. Mrs. Museveni. The late Nsimbambi. But the general public know me as an enemy who hates Museveni. And if you love Museveni or you want him to do something, you must show him that you also hate Kanyihamba, even if you don't hate me. I didn't ask you, but I asked him, which party do you support? They will never tell you, because they have a vehicle which has got numbers. My personal one, but judiciary said keep your old numbers, they respect you as a former judge. And when they see me, they used to see policemen here. They think I am from Museveni.
Man of the system.
Museveni is a friend of mine. He has saved my life on occasions, but I don't like his politics. He is a dictator. Selfish wants to stay in office until he dies. And unless Ugandans open their eyes, even make selection to win. I want Chevron to win. You know that, you have seen this one. But you want to ask him questions publicly to say, I support him, because that is the NRM way of exposing me.
Okay, I see good friends there. So, Professor, can we ask you the next question?
Please ask any question. Okay. Don't ask for permission to ask questions. I get irritated. You ask any question you want to ask permission to ask me.
You might be winding up.
There is nothing I add. Never. I don't fear anything. I don't fear any question. Don't say there may be something that is you, not me.
So, Professor, therefore, having known the situation the way it is, would you advise your candidate, Kyagulanyi, to go to court, to petition court after elections, in case something happens and becomes aggrieved?
Are you married?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am.
You have children?
I do.
I mean,
Do.
I advise you to have 4 children. Okay. Why do you ask me that? I want him to win and to be declared the president. So why do I want him to go to court before the event? My expectation is that he will win and the army will keep quiet and he takes office. So why should I advise him to go to court? But when he loses, come and ask me a question.
But Professor, knowing the caliber, the profile of men and women we have in these courts, would there be justification for anybody to do what Besigye has done twice?
Do what?
Would there be any justification for anybody to do what Besigye has done twice, going to court to challenge the election?
But aren't you intelligent? Aren't you intelligent, Phil? You didn't understand my answer.
No.
You did?
I didn't, sir.
I said I will not go to discuss court when I want him to win. But if ever he loses, you come and ask me that question. Now, have we lost? No. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Professor, thank you very much. We would like to leave it at that unless there is some other message.
I don't want to leave it at that.
Would you would like to add some other?
Yes.
Professor, you are welcome.
If I say I don't want to leave it, that they need to tell you, as an intelligent journalist, that I want to add something.
You are welcome, sir. Some last word and many of those issues.
What I want to say to your listeners and observers is that often the fault is not in our stars, it's not in Museveni, it's not in Kyagulanyi, it's not in Kizza Besigye, it is us. I am leader of my people in Rwanda. They even named the hostel Kanyihamba. In my own. There is a road in our district which they name Kanyihamba because of the contribution I made for the development of Rwanda. Are you recording? Nice. When I go there, I'm no longer a politician, I'm not an active politician, but I remain a politician forever. What is your name, sir?
John.
I said, don't vote John. Because he's done this wrong, or he has done this right and right. But if he gives you money, take the money. It is ours. Musoro. He's just paying it back, our Musoro. So you accept as much as you can, whether you call it bribe or not, but vote it the right way. Vote so and so. They do vote that way. Ahabe was minister when he came here to replace me. He promised to build a bridge that is swamp across us. He never built it. During election, I came and said, don't give him a word. He promised to do this, he didn't. Then they could see. He went and gave them Malati houses built in this area, a school. When they came elections, they took my advice and they did vote for him. He came, they gave me my Matabula, gave me my Mabati. They threw stones at him, broke his car. He has never been there again. He never sued again. I am the one who put that provision in the Constitution. Power belongs to the people of Uganda. For the first 2 terms, we liked Museveni because he was doing the people's bidding. Since he has changed the Constitution, he has said publicly, I am no servant to anybody. I work for my program, my mission, namely his family and his friends. You continue voting for him. Why? Why? What kind of people are you? He has even told you, I am not here for you. I'm here for my family. Only 2 weeks ago, he promoted his son, who is not as clever as he is, to be in charge of East or whatever. You look in your identity. And you continue supporting him. Instead of Shagulan, you say, I work for the same country, and it's not his word. When he goes to Jinja, everybody says, when he goes to Guru, there. When he came to Kabale, the whole camp took him. Don't you see that one? Museveni is threatened to me, and he says, I'm going to infiltrate. Never will put spies on Chigwani, destroy his support. You're listening to that today. But tomorrow, yeah, Museveni, oh yeah. And you think Kanyamba the intelligent will be with you. No. I don't hide the fact that he could kill me if he wanted, he could. But he respects me. And you know whom he believes in. Kanyamba spoils my politics, but he teaches the nation what to do. It's in the writing.
You spoil his politics, but teach the nation the right.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Those are what's Museveni. And you could quote him there. You'd be right. What have I done? The country was bankrupt. He made the Minister of Commerce, Better Trade. You see what I did. There was conflict in the Muslim community. Public against the rest. First soldiers were killed. He sent me there. I made the peace. After the Muslim conference, which I read, the national one, with Saudi Arabia, Libya, Kuwait presented, we came up with the proclamation of Israel. I wrote a little book about our proceedings. Muslim crisis in Uganda. It is a textbook at the International University of Islam in Mbali. But many journalists don't even know about it. Ever since then, have been peace. Museveni is a fool. He knows what I do. So when misguided the police, arrested me here. They arrested me here, gave me injection to be incontinent. And they took me to a safe house. After a week, 7 times, sent his own doctor to examine me, and he orders my release. And hey, I hate him. And when the NLM said, yes, for me, I am the president. Who is a fool and who is not? I like him. He is rude in my life. In fact, I'm going to appeal him last. So they don't pay my money, which took me to India. To find him. I will appeal to the president. And for him, I know he will direct them to pay me. I haven't got there yet.
You still have some hope that something could happen?
Yeah, that I don't have to involve the president.
How much is this, sir? How much money are we talking about?
$12,000. Whether $12,000 total.
Which is about
my pension, what they call security money, which is in my terms of reference that when you retire, they will be giving you 1.250 million for your body card.
per month.
So I pay them when they come here. They have not paid it for 10 years.
Oh. That's over 100 million now.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
This country should be able to afford it to pay.
But how do you afford it? I am a controversial Kanyahamba. When I talk, do you know Derek? Do you know Derek Chiyonga?
I know that he's my colleague.
Is your colleague?
Yes.
Call him now when I'm here.
I'm going to.
And you say, Kanyahamba tells me that you've been preparing your review of his latest book. I've seen it.
I've seen his
How
name
are
in the
you?
book.
Call him.
I've seen
Call,
him.
he's the one who is compiled part of it.
He's a good writer. He's a
So you
prolific
call
writer.
Yes, you call.
Professor after science.
When I am here, I am saying now. Call him now
Okay.
and talk to him. Pretend you are not here.
Okay.
On constitutional and public affairs. Since then, we have gone down the negative road. We set up a very strong, independent Judicial Service Commission. It was chaired by, at one time, Oduchi, who was a judge of the Supreme Court. They did very well. No one could become a judge without being recommended by the Judicial Service Commission, which is independent and made of men of integrity and women of integrity. Since then, judges are handpicked by the president and his friends. It's only about a month ago that it was revealed that the president appointed the deputy chief justice without any input by the Judicial Service Commission. That is totally unconstitutional. But he is still the deputy chief justice. But I don't blame the president. Since then, since 1986, the integrity, vigor of the law society, which overlooks every lawyer that becomes a judge, has gone downhill. Some of the lawyers have become money makers only. They have forgotten their profession. As I speak now, I have about 5 standing cases against various organs, including lawyers, which the judiciary have ignored. I have letters from judges saying we are going to discipline these lawyers. They have done not so. One of the greatest chambers I used to admire is involved in such a scandal of money making and giving false claims that sooner or later you will see it in the newspapers and you will be shocked that lawyers can do that. The Law Society itself knows that its members are not only corrupt, incompetent, but they are thieves. As a result, it has set up a number of commissions to investigate. When the Chief Justice, the retired Chief Justice, Bart Katurebe, appointed me a one-man commission to investigate the judiciary, I did. Two of the names is the one who gave them to me. He said, these ones, I have evidence that they should not be judges, please investigate. The report was supposed to be very confidential. The Chief Justice himself leaked it. And I'm saying it, and I wish he could sue me, and we go to court. He leaked it to all the judges I had named as a corrupt and magistrate. And ever since then, whether my case is merit or not, I am not harmed. So I am a known person as far as the former Law Society is concerned. But I have told you the Law Society itself knows. There was general elections of the Law Society governing body, and all those who were leading before were thrown out. We now have a new council. Hopefully, we'll do better. And it is made of only women. There is a lady here. I hope your agenda will do better for the society. They threw out all the men. I complained to the Law Society about my case and my relationship with my Chief Justice, Bart Katurebe. They have never answered back. But recently, I saw him being praised, which I said he would be, for improving the terms and conditions of service of judges. They are now one of the sections which is very highly paid, and it's good. But the payment is not commensurate with the work they do for this country. There, I don't blame the government. I don't blame President Museveni. We've been let down by those who govern the Law Society and who appoint judges. The chairman of the of the Judicial Service Commission is a former judge himself. He knows. He prosecuted the Kizza Besigye for rape. I want to discuss anymore because he knew better to bring that indictment against Kizza Besigye. It was false, and the court said so. He is now the boss of the Judicial Service Commission. The Electoral Commission, similarly chaired by an eminent man, I believe, has been partial in enforcing its rules. I recently passed at the Munyonyo Conference Center. There were many people who had come to welcome President Museveni after nomination. I was coming from Entebbe. I was amazed. The police were doing nothing to control the crowd. They let thousands of people jubilate in favor of their candidate. Not a single one was challenged for arrest. I don't have to tell you, although you are looking for a documentary evidence for the government, that there is no freedom equally divided among the candidates who are standing today. President Museveni is protected like a bee queen wherever he goes. The police are up in arms to protect anybody who should challenge him. But the other candidates are harassed, they are hounded wherever they go. How can Ugandans think thereafter we shall have free and fair elections? I want to repeat, we have had a chaos and a fighting among the NRM supporters themselves. What will it be like when the NRM candidates are facing candidates of other parties? That is why President Museveni wisely have said we shall have no one observing elections because he anticipates, I believe, there will be total chaos. And you can't have free and fair elections when there is chaos. My advice to the opposition members, there is a chance if they are united behind one another, they could challenge himself. But his army and now police, partisan police, will not in this year, next year, allow anybody else, whether they have won fairly or not, to take office. What are Ugandans going to do? Supposing Kyagulanyi, for matter of argument, were to win the election, that even Byamukama has no choice of somebody else, but has to declare Kyagulanyi is the winner. What are Ugandans prepared to do to defend their voting? Kyagulanyi, it could be Kyagulanyi, Amulia, Mao. We have 10 or 11 candidates. In my opinion, for what is worth, there are only 2 candidates who are really competing for power. The others have no chance. Either because many of them are associated with Museveni, rather like Paul Semogere had been serving the NRM for 9 years, and then he became a candidate against Museveni, and everybody was salary. If he had the policies of his own, why has he been serving Museveni all this time? People have not forgotten the role played by somebody like my good friend Henry Tumukunde. He moved one time, and suddenly he was a strong man of Museveni. Now you are opposing him to be president. To do what? How can anybody take you seriously? He's a friend of mine. Muntu is a gentleman. Muntu is a gentleman. In Uganda, we are not ready to elect a gentleman to be president. Kyagulanyi fought in the parliament trying to defend the rights of members of parliament. So for him, at least he's a fighter. And they've been showing him sleeping in cars outside, being prevented by the police. The president has not given the police power, but they think they are acting on his behalf. And those who support President Museveni keep quiet. Recently, which was very sad, a member of the UPDF, I have always respected the UPDF, they are much more disciplined than the police. But when he heard that President Museveni believes in democracy, that he is campaigning like anybody else to get votes of the people, and he has. A member of the UPDF said, these people are wasting your time. Do they think that if Museveni loses, we shall hand the power over them against our dead body? Then why are we having elections at all? Why are we wasting a lot of time? Knowing that if another candidate, if Kyagulanyi was to win, the army would refuse him to take office, which seems to be a fact. Ugandans, you have a lot to think. I am talking knowing that some of the people who are interviewing me are from an agency of government who are gathering the correct views. I hope you will also report in dissenting voices like that of Kenya. Thank you. You can ask another question.
Professor, you've said there are two people competing for power. Who are these, as far as you're concerned?
Are you a journalist?
Yes, I am.
You don't know them?
For a record, Professor.
No, you don't know them.
I have an idea, but for the record from you.
No, from the evidence I have seen.
Yes.
This is not a secret.
Yes.
And many Ugandans believe what I say. There are two people who seem to have a chance. Museveni has got a bigger chance than the other. President Museveni and Honorable Kyagulanyi. To me, the real competition between those two. And Museveni knows it. That is why his wrath is more directed at Kyagulanyi than at any other candidate.
How about Amuriat, sir?
Who?
Amuriat has equally been attacked and constrained.
Amuriat is seen as a successor to Besigye. Amuriat is a good man. But I am afraid, apart from his own religion, many Ugandans don't know him. He is a known entity among the majority of Ugandans. Simply because the FDC have been stopped from having branches elsewhere. It's not their fault. Amuriat was unknown until he replaced Kizza Besigye. He's got another 5 or 10 years before he stamps his authority on Uganda politics. People will remember him as a man who was undressed by the police, who traveling without shoes, but I don't think they will remember him as a very strong rival, President Museveni. I love General Muntu. I have known him, we were in CA together. Almost single-handed, he moved the army to support elections and parties. But he hasn't got what I call the killer instinct. Of all these countries, only Museveni and Kyagulanyi have what I call the political killer instinct.
So General Muntu is a good man in a Rongo country. You would start a Rongo time as well?
Pardon?
General Muntu therefore is a good man, but in a Rongo country and at
That's
Rongo
right.
time.
I agree with you. He's a good man. And when I addressed my parties, the NRM didn't come. He came. Mao came. Mao will not win power.
This is his second time trying.
Yes, because he also is not a politician. He's a good commentator. He can talk and you cry. But the tears don't win power.
And the Kabuleta, have you thought about him too?
Pardon?
Kabuleta, Joseph Kabuleta, have you addressed your mind to his chances?
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
I don't know him. That's the only comment I can make. So I would be wrong to comment on him.
Professor, I would like to briefly follow up on that. That NUP of Honorable Kyagulanyi.
Yes.
Where do you see them in the next 5 to 10 years? Do they have a future? NUP.
The Kyagulanyis.
The party, do they have a future beyond this election?
Well, I am hoping really. And I have talked to my age mate, who also used to support the movement, including those who even today are closest to the President Museveni. We all hope and pray that whatever happens in January, this is the last term President Museveni. I don't want you to praise me on the names, but some of them are ministers of President Museveni. There is no way, please, Ugandans, wake up. Museveni can come in 2-3 years, aged 82, 83. And they say younger people, including you, of 20s. Most of you, including my youngest daughter here, Betty, whom I adopted by law, were born after Museveni became president. You have not known anybody else. The Bachika have a saying that the bird which doesn't fly doesn't know where the grain is ripe to harvest. You don't know anything else. I am attracted to people like Kyagulanyi because when he speaks, the language he speaks is the same I would speak if I was a politician. He is not taking advantage of his popularity, and he's popular. Not in Buganda alone. When he goes to Gulu, people turn up. When he goes to Ntangamu, people come up. And he's the only politician who recognizes individuals as true Ugandan patriots. Museveni and his supporters. NLM. Who is NLM? It's not an impersonal statement. It is the people. It is you and me. I have never belonged, by the way, I want you to be clear. Many people, they see me driving the judge's car. When you retire with your plate, not the car, but the plate, so that you are safe as a former judge. I have only belonged to one political movement, and that is the original movement, Conk movement, which ushered in the 1995 Constitution. The Constitution, the President Museveni said, is the best Uganda has ever made. I have never belonged to any other party. When I was a youth, I used to support the UPC because UPC was very strong. Obote then was radical, and we radicals supported him. I am not the only one. Museveni was a member of UPC, and he supported him. But we moved on. So, here as I speak, I find that the other politician I don't know. I know Muntu, I have told you. Some of my friends who were very strong in the and who think like me. People like Ruhakana Rugunda, people like Masud Luchikei, we talk. Ruhakana Rugunda supports his boss to the hill, but he hasn't stood for election. He's not even one of those who is coming in as an elder representative. I know him. We've been friends for a long time. He believes he has served enough to this country, and we know he has. Why doesn't his boss, his administrative boss, not political boss, think like him? when we first came to power, 1986, I remember talking to Lakan Mukunda. He then was in America, a doctor, but already an activist. I said, come and join our government. I'm very happy now. He may still serve the country. He's got energy, but he's not standing for parliament. Masolo Chikere is a year older than I am, but we went to the same school. He recently visited me here, and we said, why don't we advise our friend, our president we love, not to contest again, and become our leader and the advisor of the younger. I don't know how Kyagulanyi, how old he is. Muntu, Kyagulanyi are younger people. And I wish them well. And maybe after this election, they will potentially president of this country. The only thing that can stop one of them becoming president in this, after this election, is rigging, corruption, and rejection by the so-called security forces. Otherwise, my reading of the country is that Museveni has served the country well, but he is like a Chiga dancer. It is hard time he let younger dancer entertain the crowd and they go back to Ashtura and the Grace Couch. That is a belief many Ugandans believe in. That is a belief my age mates believe in. Please, Mr. President, I appeal to you. You're already a candidate, we can't do anything about it. But let other candidates dance the dance of campaign, uninterrupted by the security forces, disciplined security forces. We don't want another life for Uganda to be lost next month. But should we have other dead Ugandans next month, whether you win or not, love Uganda and Ugandans. Give up power. Currently, our president is obsessed with the power. And it is bad for Uganda. Any obsession with anything is bad. If you are obsessed with food, you die of food poisoning. If you are obsessed with power, power will kill you. Museveni, you have served this country well. We don't want you to be killed by obsession of power. So, what would be my advice, President himself? The army and the police may help you to win power next month. Be the father of Uganda. At your age, you are the father of the majority of Uganda. You say, children, now that although the army and the police have said I have won, I think it is high time I gave in to a younger person. And by that time, Ugandans will know who had won the election or who was second to you, and let him take over. There are many other things I know privately, which, if I mention, would not be. I wanted to appeal to my president that as far as a person I am concerned, he has looked after me excellently. When I was captured by the police and taken into safe house, which the reporters, including those of New Vision, refused to report on, President Museveni sent his own doctor to come and see me where I was detained, whether I was all right.
When was this, sir?
This was about 3 years ago.
After retiring.
The Prime Minister, my great friend, came and saw me there. He actually came to where I was detained. And they said, no, this is not possible. He must have talked to the president. Between them, the two had me released from the detention. Therefore, I am very grateful for their lives. When the medical council reported that I had a problem of high pressure and diabetic, and they reported I should go abroad for examination treatment, Wakana Rugunda was the first one to say I should be facilitated to go. The president had said that's a good thing for Kanyama to go. The line minister, whom I have told you is related to me, Kaindo Tafide, said, I'll bring you the money from government. Pious, the man,
The PS.
PS. They had just become PS, and they don't blame. He wrote a letter, I have a letter, you can even put it on social media, saying, we authorize Kanyama to go and be treated. On that basis, I borrowed money from UK. And when, as long as one person monopolizes power, the first 10 years Museveni was excellent. He had no rival in the leadership and development of this country. Thereafter, he lost the energy. And those who are behind him, faceless, nameless, ambitious, sometimes very corrupt leaders, are the ones governing this country in his name. I wouldn't mind if he's the one who is originating these policies, pursuing them. But it's not him. Every leader has people who push him to do certain things. Every leader, whether Americans or not. You have seen what has happened in America. Trump is now regarded as the worst president USA has ever had. And we know the reasons. But he still wants to stay in power. The majority of the Republicans, you would think they are more enlightened than we are, want him to stay. But he's proved to be a liar, to be a thief, to be unreliable in everything. He has broken all the international agreements that keeps the world at peace. And yet, half of the Americans are blind